Hey, so today we're going to be installing this TPS Products 20 MOA scope base on our Remington 700 SPS Tactical 20-inch barrel. Everybody knows what this rifle is. Everybody's got one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to clean the grease off this stuff real quick. Real simple. I got a rag here. Just spray a little on my. Just spray a little bit on here. Wipe it off. Just a little gun scrubber will do, just to kind of break up that little bit of grease that might be on there. And then I'm gonna clean this top part off real quick. People go to town with this gun scrubber stuff. I don't think you really need to use quite that much. Just kind of get that grease off there. So we got 4 screws, TPS scope base. It's got 20 MOA built in for the 308 because it drops so fast. It stops right where it needs to be. Lines right up. I don't know if you're able to see in there. Yeah, the holes line right up. This is a pretty basic. I don't even know if you'd call it gunsmithing. It's pretty easy to do. There we go. So I'm just going to use a dab of Loctite. Oh, here's my. Almost forgot. Just going to use a little bit of this gun scrubber on some Q-tips. And kind of get in these holes. Usually there's grease in there. I already took the plugs out, the factory plugs. And get in there a little bit. And you can see there's a little bit of stuff coming out of there. My camera's focusing on George's face back there in the background. That's okay. We like George. Yeah, see, you can see there's a little bit of factory grease in there. Let me get that stuff out of there. So then we just set this on here, and it slides right forward and stops. Some lint. Alright, so the next thing is we're going to use a little Loctite here. Very little. That's another thing people do. They use gobs and gobs of this stuff. Geez, you only need a drop. That might even be too much. I mean, you don't want it down in there. You just want it on the screw and in the threads. I guess what I'll do is I'll maybe kind of just wipe it with my finger. Just to kind of get that in there. So we're going to set this down in here. I'll try to line it up. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll set them all in there and then lower it down. Kind of like the idea of wiping it off with my finger there. Fuzz. There's all kinds of fuzz. Belly button lint. Kind of get it in the threads. That kind of works pretty good. I don't even know if you can see that. There's just a little bit in there. Alright. So then this TPS scope base comes with a little screw. A little hex wrench. I know a lot of guys try to use those Torx wrenches. These work just as good. I mean, these are made to so that you can't ever crank these screws. But what you do is you screw it down a little bit here. What I like to do is kind of back it off a little and then screw it in a little more, just to make sure you're catching those threads, so you don't want to cross thread it. Yeah, see, that's tight. Oops. Dang. Let's see. See if I can get you a little bit better angle. Move you a little closer. Alright, don't focus on George. Anyhow, that stupid thing. Well, I'm not going to piss around with this camera this much. Alright, so I'm going to kind of back this bad boy out a little. Make sure I catch those threads just right. Here we go. This one went in a little easier. Hope I'm not boogering up them threads. Let's take a look. Alright, I think we're okay. Looks alright. So I like to spin it backwards. You can usually feel it kind of click. That one's tight. You want to make sure this is slid all the way forward. See how it's loose? Yeah, that's a little bit too much. Here we go. Okay. Back to the first one again. Yeah, see, it's starting to snug up now. Real important to push it forward against that stop, that shoulder there. You just crank them down. If you don't have a torque wrench, they give you this wrench and you just use the short end and tighten it as tight as you can get it with your finger and thumb. It's as good as any torque wrench. You can't put too much pressure on it. Just like so. Alright, that's good. Nice and tight. Cap back on her. Then you just check to make sure that the screws didn't come in too far. Beautiful, job done. So that's pretty easy. So that's TPS. I'm going to match it with some TPS, low TPS rings. Just ordered the Magpul Hunter 700 and flat dark earth. So that'll be the next video, putting that on there. Thanks guys, see you.